We are here this afternoon to pay our respects and to say goodbye to Jeffrey Maurice Binder, Shalom ben Abraham. But it's so hard to say goodbye to someone you expect to see when you walk into his office. If this microphone doesn't work right, don't we go to see Jeff to make it work? If we need a chocolate to pick us up, isn't Jeff going to be there with his endless supply? At 5 a.m. on a snowy day, won't Jeff be giving me a call to close school? There are some people who touched so many lives, who did so many things, who were so integral to a staff, a school, and an institution, that people refuse to believe that they are gone. Such was the legacy of Jeff Binder. In his goodness, his menschlichkeit, his helpfulness, and his steady, constant guidance. Many of us still have not come to grips with the notion that he will never come back. So today is a time for us to pay our respects, but also a time to say our goodbye. I would like to invite Rabbi Krakauer, a Talmud and Judaica teacher, and Mrs. Robbins, assistant to the middle school principal, to recite Perek Chaf Gimel of Tehillim, chapter 23 of Psalms, Zecha Nishmat Shalom ben Abraham.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Ro'i Lo Echsar, Binos Deshe Yarbitzeni, Alnei Menuchos Yinaleini, Afshi Yeshovev, Yancheni B'Maglei Tzedek L'man Shemo, Gam Ki Elech B'Geit Salmaves, Lo Irara Ki Ata Imadi, Shivtecha, Mishantecha, Hema Yinachamuni, Haroch Lefanai Shulchan, Neged Tzorarai, Tishanta Bashem and Roshi, Kosi Rivaya, Ach Tov V'Chesed Yudefuni, Kol Yemei Chayai, Shavti B'Beis Adonai, Yorech Yomim.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
For several days after Jeff's passing, we put out a memorial book for people to share their memories and thoughts. I believe the book is right now outside the auditorium on the table. I would like to read some brief excerpts from these quotes. From a member of the staff. Binder, Binder, and Binder. This was Jeff's routine whenever I called him. It was so appropriate since this one incredible human being did the job of so many. From a current grandparent and alumnus parent. Jeff's face lit up whenever I asked him how his niece and nephew were doing. His love for his family and concern for all is inspiring. May we all try to live up to the example he set for us. From a 9th grade student. When I needed something, Jeff gave it to me with a smile on his face, asked how I was doing, and gave me a chocolate. I left in a much better mood than when I came in. Jeff worked closely with many people who considered him their friend. I would like to invite Michael Becker and Steve Ackhammer, two of those who worked most closely with Jeff, to share some reflections.
Jeff Binder was not actually at the academy when school first opened. It just seemed that way. When I first started working here at the academy 27 years ago, it was located on Linden Lane in Silver Spring. Jeff was already here. The school did not have an office for me, so Jeff graciously offered to share his office. I gladly accepted. Jeff was the perfect office mate. He always had candy on hand, and a joke or two to keep things lively. I really had no idea what Jeff did in addition to operating the copy center. However, as the years progressed, I realized that he did so much more. Trustworthy is a word I would use to describe Jeff. He demonstrated that to me early in our relationship. I felt I could discuss anything with him. I knew he would never betray our relationship and our friendship. When my father died in 2000, Jeff was at the memorial service. He never met my father. He was there for me. That was Jeff. There is a company that advertises on TV, and their slogan is, "We don't make the things you use, we make the things you use better." That was Jeff. Jeff did not teach any classes. Jeff did not develop any curriculum. Jeff did not write any college recommendations. Jeff did not coach any athletic teams. And Jeff did not seek out any recognition. However, everybody loved him and admired him. So why did they love and admire him so much? Because Jeff did stop whatever he was doing to assist any staff member who needed his help and expertise. Because he did perform his job superbly and without any fanfare. Because he did possess great organizational skills, and he genuinely liked people. He also would find humor in everyday life. And maybe most importantly, he made it possible for all of us, all the people who work here at the Academy, to do their jobs more effectively. Jeff was a true mensch. His first concern was always for others, not for himself. He had more candy in his office than your neighborhood CVS store. I never saw him eat any candy. The candy wasn't for him. It was for his colleagues. That was Jeff. Over the weekend, Hall of Fame baseball great Stan Musial passed on. When asked to typify the life of Stan Musial, another baseball Hall of Famer, Willie Mays, said, "I never heard a bad word about him, ever." The same can be said of Jeff. I really miss Jeff both personally and professionally. He was a private person who gave so much more than he ever took. State Farm has a jingle that goes, "Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there." Jeff was a good neighbor. He was always there for us, and he made the MJBHA neighborhood a great place to be. Thanks, Jeff. We will miss you.
I am honored today to be able to speak about my friend Jeff. For 27 years, Jeff was an integral part of the Hebrew Academy. As operations director, he oversaw and ran many aspects of the school, assisting the students, staff, and parents in ways that are too many to count. In fact, I think the two most common phrases heard in school were, "I'll check with Jeff," and "Let's ask Mr. Binder." However, Jeff's most important roles at the Academy had nothing to do with his job as operations manager. Jeff was a friend, advisor, and confidant to many of us here at the Hebrew Academy. We will all remember the many times Jeff helped us create a project or organize an event, but what we'll remember even more is how Jeff always greeted us with a smile and always made us feel welcome. Jeff was always willing to help no matter what was going on. He never made it feel like you were interrupting, even though we often must have been, considering how much Jeff did in school. He always made time to give whatever help or guidance was necessary. My first real interactions with Jeff came when I was a sophomore in high school. Each year, the 10th grade class would operate a soda machine to make money, and I was responsible for ordering the sodas. Jeff would help me with the ordering of sodas and operation of the machine. Even though in reality, it was not such an important job, Jeff made me feel very important about what I was doing. He treated me with respect and showed a genuine interest in my thoughts and ideas. Jeff's kindness and support encouraged me to take on a lead role in other school projects, and he was always there to help. It wasn't just me whom Jeff showed such kindness and support, but all the students in school. Jeff greeted all students with a smile and treated them with respect. 10 years ago, when I came back to the Hebrew Academy as a teacher, I felt very fortunate to develop a good friendship with Jeff. I enjoyed our many friendly talks about school, the Redskins, our families, poker, or many other topics. Jeff's office was the place you went to if you needed help, sought advice, needed to vent, or just needed a calm and happy place to be for a while. When feeling frustrated or upset, I, like many other people, would head to Jeff's office. He always seemed to know how to best respond. Jeff knew when to offer advice, when to just listen, and when to offer candy or hot chocolate. My fondest memories of Jeff was a conversation we had 7 years ago this January. It was during this conversation that Jeff helped me make my dream of the previous 20 years come true. During one of our many conversations, I happened to mention my dream of running my own camp. When I mentioned this in the past, people would respond with, "Why? Are you crazy?" or would just brush me off with a, "That's nice." Jeff's response, "Let's do it." At first I thought that Jeff was kidding, but he was in fact quite serious. Before I really knew what had happened, we recruited Coach as a third partner, come up with a name, and started advertising. Just as he had done many years earlier when I was a student, with kind words and support, Jeff gave me the courage to try new things that I never would have had the courage to try otherwise. With Jeff's help, I was able to realize my dream of running a camp, which has allowed me to learn many new skills, grow as a person, and make some good friends. Many campers and staff have enjoyed and benefited from the many Cougar Camp programs, which would not have been possible without Jeff's support, advice, and hard work over the years. Jeff was a classic example of how to treat other people. He always had a smile and a warm greeting for everyone, and he treated all of the students, staff, and parents with kindness and respect. There are many ways that we can remember and honor Jeff's life, but I believe the best is to try and live up to the example he set of how to treat others. Jeff, we will miss you. We will always remember you. Goodbye, my friend.
A few more excerpts from the memorial book. From one of our music teachers. As a music teacher, we had a snow day song. And unfortunately, I don't know the tune to this song, so I'll just have to read it. Snow, snow, fluffy white snow, I hope it piles high this year. Snow, snow, fluffy white snow, I hope it piles up to here. Snow days are better than other days off. It's a surprise, I suppose. I'd like to hear Jeff Binder say, Hebrew Academy is closed. From a parent. Always a kind, inviting word. Always helping, always present. Without him, the school community is lacking the heart that pumped everything within it. From a former student. Mr. Binder was one of the kindest people I have ever met. His office, with its walls covered in cartoons and the smell of coffee, has been a fixture in my memory since 4-year-old nursery. So much that occurred in this room, the auditorium, was tied to Jeff. This was no more true than our theatrical performances, each of which owed a tremendous debt of gratitude to Jeff. I would like to invite our Hadass director, Rena Fruchter, to read a poem that she chose, Robert Frost's Nothing Gold Can Stay.
It's a short poem in tribute to our beloved Jeff's life, modest, yet very full. So listen to it carefully and enjoy it, for it goes very quickly. Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay.
We are grateful that many members of the Binder family have been able to join us, including his mother Ray, son Eric, his brothers Louis and John and their wives Gloria and Kathy, and his sister Ethel and her husband Larry, and his nephew Dan. I would like to invite John to speak on behalf of the family.
I'm not accustomed to doing this, so please bear with me. Thank you, Dr. Levinson and friends. I thought I might start with sharing with you a few letters we've received since Jeff passed away. The first one comes from Israel, from a former parent of some children who have gone to the academy. Susan Levin. John, how shocking to get the news from the academy letting us know about Jeff's death. He was always the bright, smiling face in a world of little and big people, each with a little or big problem, an issue that needed Jeff's attention, usually now. And for each, Jeff found a solution and delivered it with a kind word. I can't have been easy to turn from one to the next, and yet Jeff did that with a calm and kindness. If that's what Jeff brought to a school, I can only begin to imagine what he brought to your family. Accept our condolences and hopes that you will know no more sorrow. The second letter is, Dear Binder family, I would like to offer my deep condolences for the sudden loss of your beloved Jeff. May his memory be a blessing. I will only have the most fond and appreciative memories of Jeff. Until my daughter graduated last year, I was an active member of the PTA and needed to interact with Jeff quite a bit. It didn't matter if I was a stranger, new to the school, or eventually PTO president. Any request for assistance was answered with a good cheer. From observation, it was clear that Jeff has always juggling a lot of projects and responsibilities. You would never know it from the way he acted. He made it seem that your project was important and somehow managed to meet everyone's needs. Excuse me. He leaves us all feeling that we were his best and first priority, that it was a rare gift. I will always be grateful to Jeff for being a mentor to my daughter. She was the head of a tech during her last 2 years of school and needed to be in contact with Jeff frequently about keys, equipment, etc. He treated her with respect and confidence while teaching her that various tasks required for the job. I heard from each of them on separate occasions how much they enjoyed working with each other. When my daughter came to school over the summer to visit, he was one of the first 2 people that she made the trip for. And this was from Carrie Gluck. The third is a letter from a neighbor of ours who didn't really know Jeff, but I thought it was appropriate. Dear John, I am sorry to learn of your brother's death. I was thinking this morning about the words of Chaim Bialik, who spoke long ago of the power of words, that words could illuminate the whole world. Yet he writes that language, with all of its associations, does not introduce us into the inner area, but stands as a barrier. I think of this today as I try to offer my solace to you on the loss of your brother. We have a special relationship with our siblings. They carry the story of our family, the memories of growing up. Their absence leaves a space that is hard to fill. What I most hope for you is that the conversation with your loved one will continue as a memory, as a shared life. Myra Sclero. This note from our dear neighbor of ours and the letters we received, I was thinking a lot about these notes. They have touched us in a very special way. I realize that it's not how much money we have or the things we have collected along our journey that really define who we are and what really matters. It is in fact how we have touched others positively, the good deeds we do, the friends we have, and the help we give, that we will be remembered by. My brother Jeff was truly a good person, a real mensch. You have conveyed to us what we already knew. In all the years Jeff worked here, I had never been to his office, his command center. I heard about it from him, but never visited. I have now visited it, and it is true. All of his money was spent on candy and snacks. And then there was the key. That one key had on his chain that no one else in the school had. The key to the storage closet behind his desk. And let me tell you, there were some anxious moments at the school until I brought his master keychain back and they were able to get into it. There is this other family at this school that Jeff had and cared so much for, that we knew so little about. Over the past few weeks, we have come to learn how Jeff touched so many lives here at this school, not just the teachers, staff, and students. These stories and the insight have brought comfort to our family during these trying times. When a story is told, it's not forgotten. It's a memory that will keep with us. Long after one is gone, we are grateful for your support and the stories about Jeff that we did not know about. We will miss him, and his memory will be a blessing to all. And by the way, Jeff would tell you when you call tomorrow that there is no school because of snow.
Thank you, John. My predecessor, Rabbi Altschul, knew Jeff for 2 decades and was as stunned as the rest of us to hear of his passing. He wrote some memories, and I would like to ask Jennifer Zuckerman to read his letter to us.
Friends, I write these words from the Holy Land, where I have lived since making Aliyah from Silver Spring over 6 years ago. My heart is filled with sadness and sorrow as I have lost a dear friend, a loyal colleague, and a good man, a true mensch. I first met Jeff Binder when he came to enroll his son Eric in the Hebrew Academy's kindergarten. He was a proud father then, and he was always a proud and loving parent. Soon afterwards, we hired Jeff on a part-time basis to do some copying and odd jobs. In those years on Linden Lane, the copying machine was in the school's nurse's office, and Nurse Tzippi Rosenblatt had to learn how to coexist with the noise of the copier. But Jeff's dry sense of humor and friendly demeanor made up for all the noise. As time went on, Jeff proved himself over and over again as someone who could handle other duties, and with time, his job and responsibilities grew. He was hardworking, dependable, and a pleasure to work with. When I returned to school in 2001, I was not surprised to find that he had become the director of operations and was managing a big chunk of the school's day-to-day activities. Jeff now became for me not only a loyal colleague and friend, but also a person with whom I could consult to help me make decisions about the school, knowing that he always had the best interests of the school and its students at heart. And when there was a crisis, no matter how serious, I could turn to Jeff, for he knew the taste of adversity. Nevertheless, he overcame many of the obstacles that life threw in his path. So when things got tough, as they sometimes did, I could look to Jeff for inspiration, for he had met formidable obstacles and overcame them. He built a career and made priceless friends in the decade he spent at school. When I arrived every morning, seeing Jeff smile gave me the confidence that it would be a good day. For no matter what happened during the day, he always exuded optimism and satisfaction in a day's work well done. He took great pride in everything that he did and tried to make it the best that he could. The foundations of the MJBHA do not rest on bricks and mortar, but rather on people like Jeff Binder, whose selfless dedication for the school, to its staff, and to its students, who he loved and for whom he worked so hard, provide the basis upon which the school is able to thrive and develop. May the God of Israel comfort his family and all those who were fortunate to know and love him, and may he reward Jeff Binder of blessed memory for his years of dedicated service to the Torah education of thousands of Jewish children. We will all miss him terribly. May his memory be an eternal blessing to us all.
As a tribute to Jeff and his love of jazz, Mark Saltman, Steve Benson, and Rabbi Frances have prepared a short piece by Billie Holiday entitled Good Morning, Heartache. Thank you, gentlemen. A few more excerpts from the memorial book from a faculty member. Sitting in front of Jeff's desk felt so safe and comforting. He was a man who knew how to listen with all his heart and soul, his eyes, and his smile. And from another faculty member. I always thought of Jeff as the voice of the school, literally. From a parent. Jeff was always so warm and cheerful about saying hello, helping with something small or helping with something big. He made us feel like it was truly his pleasure to do whatever it was we needed him to do, and then some. It is traditional to learn Torah for the elevation of the soul of the recently departed. The middle school faculty has undertaken the learning of Seder Nezikin in Jeff's memory. I would like to invite our middle school principal, Rabbi Shields, to conclude the learning with us and to recite the special Kaddish for Asiyum.
Dr. Levison just mentioned it's customary to learn the memory of the departed. Rabbi Zucker sent an email shortly after asking that we should learn together with our students, by ourselves. And the letters of Mishnah, which we learn together, are the same letters as Neshama, the soul. And it's our hope, our prayer, that the learning done by our faculty, by our students, will provide an elevation for the Neshama, the soul of Shalom ben Avram, Jeff Binder. It's especially appropriate to learn Nezikin, which is really all about others. The thought, we've heard it over and over again today, and really for the past while, about how Jeff Binder was always about the other. Around this time of year, 6 years ago, our son Michael was born, and we were making the bris, the circumcision, here in school. At around 4:40 in the morning, we received a phone call saying there's snow. There's going to at least be a delay. I looked outside. I didn't see the snow. He said, what are your plans? How can I help you? What is it that we could do? He said it'll probably be a 10 o'clock start, and we were discussing what we should do to make the plan. A little while later, he called and he said, there's no school. What would you like to do? I'll do whatever you need. We just have to be concerned about the safety of others. Now, my parents were in from Toronto, my in-laws from Detroit. There was less snow than, But there was a concern of safety, a concern of others. And he helped with all the plans, and thank God it happened. We had the bris, and it was a very beautiful occasion with a lot of assistance. My part in the Siyum, I did, and I'll read from you the end of Mishnayos Idios, where it's talking about the role before the coming of the Mashiach, of the Messiah, of Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet. And it's mentioning what his role is going to be. He's not going to make any changes to the Torah, but rather, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Likarev, he'll bring people closer, those who were forced out of the Jewish community, of Alo L'Rachik, but he's not going to distance anybody who was already a part of the Jewish community out. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Lahashvos HaMachlokas, his role is going to make equal the machlokas, the divisions in the Jewish people, world, to go and get rid of the divisiveness that exists. And finally, the Chachamim Omrim, and what we call the consensus opinion, the wise men say, Lo l'rachek v'lo l'karev. He's not here to bring distance or to bring close. Ella, rather, la'asos shalom ba'olam. But rather, his role is to bring shalom to the world. How appropriate, to go and bring this higher purpose, this greater peace, this validity of all opinions of everyone, that everyone matters before the coming of the Mashiach. Shenemar, the Mishnah quotes a pasuk, Hineni sholech lachem es Eliyahu Hanavi. Behold, I am sending before you Elijah the prophet, V'gomer. And the pasuk concludes, V'heshiv leiv avos al banim. Hashem will bring the passion of the fathers. The commentaries say the elders, the wise men of the previous generations, al banim, that their passion of the past generation will be brought to the children, to the students, to the younger generation. The leiv banim, and what happens when you have the passion of the past generation brought to the younger generation, leiv banim alavosam. The result is that we have the passion of the younger generation, the students, the children. Their enthusiasm builds and it creates a beautiful environment of learning for those in the older generation. And together we build, and that's certainly what a school is all about. And it's a place that Jeff Binder left a tremendously beautiful mark. Salik Meseches Idios. Hadron Allah Seder Nezikim v'Hadrach Alan, Daiton Allah Seder Nezikim v'Daitach Alan, Lo Nisnashim Menach Seder Nezikim Lo Sisnashim Minan Lo Ba'al Ma'adim Lo Ba'al Ma'adasi, Hadron Allah Seder Nezikim v'Hadrach Alan, Daiton Allah Seder Nezikim v'Daitach Alan, Lo Nisnashim Menach Seder Nezikim Lo Sisnashim Minan Lo Ba'al Ma'adim Lo Ba'al Ma'adasi, Hadron Allah Seder Nezikim v'Hadrach Alan, Daiton Allah Seder Nezikim v'Daitach Alan, Lo Nisnashim Menach Seder Nezikim Lo Sisnashim Minan Lo Ba'al Ma'adim Lo Ba'al Ma'adasi. Ha'arevna Adonai Eloheinu Eskevreito Azcha Befino V'Fios Amcha Beis Yisrael V'niyat Kolonu Nachem V'Tzetzeinu V'Tzetzei Amcha Beis Yisrael Kolonu Yodei Shemecha V'Omdei Saresecha Lishma Ve'oivei Tzechak Meni Mitzosecha Ki L'olam Hili Yili V'Yisamim B'Chukecha L'man Lo Evosh L'olam Lo Eshech B'Kudecha Ki Vam Chiyasani Baruch Atah Adonai Lamdeni Chukecha Amen 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 Selav Ed Modim Anachnu V'Necha Adonai Eloheinu V'Elohi Avosinu Shesamta Chalkinu Meyoshvei Deis HaMedrash V'Loi Meyoshvei Keranos She'anu Mashkim V'Hem Mashkimim Anu Mashkimim L'Divrei Torah V'Hem Mashkimim L'Dvarim B'Tilim Anu Amelim V'Hem Amelim Anu Amelim Omekabon Sachar V'Hem Amelim V'Ein Omekabon Sachar Anu Ratzim V'Hem Ratzim Anu Ratzim L'Chaya Olam Haba V'Hem Ratzim V'Eir Shachas Shenemar V'Ata Elohim Tzaridim L'Ve'er Shachas Anshei Damim B'Mema Lo Yechzei Yemem B'Ani Eftach Bach Yihiratzim L'Fanecha Adonai Elohai כשם שעזרתנו לסיים סדר נזיקין, כך תעזרנו להשכיל סדרים וספרים אחרים ולסיימם, וללמוד וללמד, לשמוע ולעשות לקיים את כל דברי שמות תרסך באהבה. וזכוס כל התרם ושם לידי חכמים המזכרים בסדר נזיקין, שמו לי ולנו לזרענו, שלא תמוש התר מפינו ומפי זרענו וזרע זרענו עד עולם, וכל בנו ביסלך, תנך האוסף בשח לך תשמור עליך, והקיצוצה היא ששיחך. כי ירבו ימיך ויוסיף לך שנות חיים, אורך ימים בימינו ושמאלו שבכבוד, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. יסגדל ויסגדש שמי רבו, בעולמד הוא עשי לי יסחדס ולחיה מסייע ולעסקה יסון לחיה עלמה, ומבנה קרתא דירושלים ולשחלה, החלי בגבה, ולנקר פלחנה נוכרה מן ערה ולעשבה פלחנה, דשמיא לעשרי, וימלך קודשו בריחו במלכוסי ויקרי, וחייכון ובימיכון וחיי דכל בייס ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריבת ואמרו אמן. יתרי שמי רבם וברך, עמומי עמיה, על ישראל והרבנם ועל תלמידיהם ועל כל תלמידיהם ועל כל מן דעסקים בארץ, דיבה עשר הדין ודי וכל עשר ועשר יהי להון ולכון שלום הרב, חינה וחיסת ברחמין, וחיין וריחין ומזון הרוויחי, ופרקן מן קדם עוון דבשמיא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב משמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. Shalom Mamav, Yasa Shalom Aleinu, Malkol Yisrael, V'imru Amen.
In addition to learning Seder Nezikin, the faculty has collected money to make a generous donation to the building fund, which of course is tremendously appropriate considering Jeff's role in the building and everything he did. He practically is synonymous with what goes on in the building. If anyone wants to contribute to that, they should see Miriam Zagi, who is the head of the Faculty Association. Ilan Turitz, one of the student council vice presidents, and Lynn Harris, assistant to the upper school principal, will recite the Kiamalei.
במעלות, קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרק ים עתירים, הם נשמת שלום בן אברהם שהלך לעולמו. בעבור שהקהל מתפללים בעד הזכרת נשמתו. בגן עדן תהא מנוחתו, לכן לבעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ביצור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן.
O God, full of mercy, who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence in the lofty levels of the holy and the pure ones, who shine like the glow of the firmament, for the soul of Shalom, son of Abraham, Jeffrey Maurice Binder, who went on to his world. May his resting place be in the Garden of Eden. Therefore, may the Master of Mercy shelter him in the shelter of his wings for eternity, and may he bind his soul in the bond of life. Hashem is his heritage, and may he repose in peace on his resting place. Now let us respond, Amen.
I'd like to conclude with the last quote from my assistant, Robin Lebowitz, in the memorial book. There were so many things that made Jeff special. His helpful nature, his quick-witted sense of humor, his talent for all things operations. It wasn't just what he did, it was also his exceptional, can-do with a smile attitude that made him such a pivotal part of the MJBHA family. When Jeff greeted you, you felt like you were just the person he was hoping to run into. I used to joke with Jeff that his selection of fire drill dates was something of a sixth sense, or perhaps divinely inspired. Somehow, months in advance of the actual drills, he would select days that ended up having excellent weather. Last week was the first fire drill since Jeff's passing. It came as no surprise to me that even in January, the sky was blue, the sun was out, and the temperature was mild. I smiled and knew that Jeff wouldn't have wanted it any other way for the students, faculty, and staff at MJBHA. It touches me how much he cared for us and how much we cared for him. We will miss Jeff dearly and are thankful for the time we spent with him. On this note, I would like to add a final thought, really echoing what Michael said earlier. We loved Jeff, we appreciated him, and we recognized what made him special. The best way to pay tribute to our dear friend is to learn from him how to treat people, greeting each person with a smile, doing favors with an absolute graciousness, finding ways to be helpful. Jeff, we will miss you. Yehi Zichro Baruch, may his memory be a blessing. Thank you for coming.